I work at Area 51. Now I know what you're thinking when you read that title. You roll your eyes and you glance upwards or downwards for a better story with a more plausible setup. That's what should happen, and that is the point. What is written here, I don't want this found by my higher-ups. I can't explicitly say what my job is for those reasons, but I'll say that I have a mid-level amount of access. I will say that I'm old enough to have been born before Reddit, and old enough not to know how to use Reddit. Hopefully, you're all kind enough to help me use it. Anyway, some backstory. I grew up in southern Nevada. I can't say what town, though it's one of those blink and you'll miss it small towns. The only plus side is that it's near Area 51. I grew up in a military family. They were always moving around and I just happened to pop out on my mom in Nevada. My dad was a pilot, so they transferred him to Area 51. He would take his little white truck and drive away at 10 p.m., and he would always get home around 4 a.m. the next day. I would always ask him about his work, but he would stay quiet about it. Mom always told me not to talk to him about it, and that left me bummed out. It also made me more determined to get a job there. I was slightly disappointed when I first started out. Contrary to popular belief, we do fly a lot of low-tech stuff here. It's a military installation, what do you expect? Aliens just aren't walking around having coffee with my coworkers, and sadly, I haven't seen any in my whole time working on the base. I will say, however, there has been some weird stuff happening as of late, so I want to get this out in case something were to happen. And two, I can't really talk about it to other people, which is why I appreciate the anonymity of Reddit. I started working there as my dad retired and I became a part of the Roadrunners Club. They put me through so many tests and polygraphs, and there is so much security there. You aren't even allowed to sign your real name for anything. Checks come to you from proxy companies which I won't name. But okay, on to the stories. Recently there was an event in California where a lot of people saw something that they shouldn't have. I remember sitting at home on Twitter and seeing it all blow up. I soon got a call, on my secure cell phone provided by Area 51, from one of my bosses, and they told me to drive to California. A very boring 8-hour drive later, I arrived at a military base to greet my boss. I'm not the best author, as I'm just trying to tell things as they happened. I'll try to paint a good enough picture though. It was noonish and the object was under a tarp. I was told that it landed a bit north of the sighting. Landed? I asked. Who was driving it? It was just a test pilot. He didn't even look at me. He was just fixated on the object obscured by the tarp. Testing for what? I asked. What kind of aircraft was he testing? You're really asking too many questions, he told me. He finally looked at me, but his eyes had a dazed look. His eyes looked glazed a bit. Well, you did call me here, I responded. I did? He asked, looking confused. Yeah, I said, matter of fact. He looked at me for a long time. I'm giving you. Sorry, but I can't tell you the kind of access that he gave me. Access. I was stunned. A promotion of all things. I had been working there for so long without even a praise, and I suddenly got a promotion. My boss, I'll call him Bob, he told me to make sure the aircraft gets transported safely back to the base. I agreed to happily, still riding the high of my sudden promotion. Now looking back on it, I could swear that the craft was glowing, but it must have been the early afternoon sun bouncing off of it. So, I can confirm to you, which obviously they will deny, that no, it's not a missile. It was a manned aircraft. A shorter flight back to the base had us arrive by nightfall. It was getting darker earlier. Area 51 had a peculiar way for planes to land. They turned on the lights for a very brief moment and suddenly we land. I never questioned it though. We really aren't allowed to. So the craft is out and looking at it again. I really swear that I saw it glowing. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe think of the blue of a flame. It looked like a blue flame was encasing it. My view was cut off when a worker hastily covered it up with the corner of the tarp. They transported it into one of the hangars that they kept the old Blackbirds in. It was an aircraft used during the Cold War. The hangar doors shut and I was left outside with two apparent CIA agents dressed in their matching black suits along with my boss. What do I do now? I ask. You report to Cecil, that was a fake name, tomorrow, he said. I don't know if it was a trick of the light, but both of the agents seemed to be mouthing something as my boss was talking. Now I'm standing there, kinda creeped out about this whole thing. I was feeling oddly uncomfortable, and to be completely honest. They let me sleep on the base, and I'm typing this on my phone and I'm using the free Wi-Fi. I'll update you all on what happens tomorrow if you want to hear more. I think I'm going to get to see the aircraft again. Oh wait, no, I just got an email from my boss. Okay, the subject is blank and the page is blank. Okay. I also suddenly feel like I'm being watched. It's a small room, so that doesn't help my claustrophobia. I think I should sleep. I'll answer any questions when I can after I meet with my boss tomorrow and post an update if I'm alive. Just kidding. Sorry for the long, mostly uneventful post. I just feel like something bad is about to happen. Do you ever get that impending doom type of feeling? Hi everybody. Just to say, I'm not dead. I've been busy the past couple of days. We got a signal from space. It's amazing. But the higher-ups were hush-hush about it. I got it across my desk and I was surprised when I saw that I couldn't read the contents. They were confidential. Sealed up with a lock, if you could believe it. How I knew it was about the signal was because they told me it was and that I was to deliver it to Cecil ASAP. I playfully asked if the signal was connected to the crash and they gave me the dirtiest look that I'd ever received. I was asked on the other post about the Art Bell call. I knew the guy who called, and now I can tell you for a fact that it wasn't a hoax. I was there when we shut him down. Now, the stuff he said, I can't tell if he was telling the truth or not. I honestly don't know. The officials cut him off and got him because he might divulge things about Area 51, like weapons testing and whatnot. That was their excuse anyway. Nothing about aliens. Though we have had a lot of switches in power since that day. Along with what I told you about Bob being taken away for something by those nice CIA agents. Someone called to say it was a hoax later just to make sure people didn't believe the crazy things he said. I didn't believe anything he said, but now I'm having second thoughts. People have been asking me in detail about the work here. As much as I want to tell you, there isn't much I can tell you without triggering the filter that searches the wireless network. Yes, Area 51 has Wi-Fi. Once you get past the snipers and the landmines and the trap holes, it's actually pretty relaxed around here. It was a mess when Pokemon Go released. You wouldn't believe all the stuff on base. Anyway, a lot of people got in trouble for playing. I don't have any interesting stories to tell you besides the missile, so I asked around. I checked in the mess hall. Frank had been down on ground -2 under the west hangar. At first, I thought he was bullshitting me. As you would think if somebody told you there were anti-gravity machines and literal working laser weapons with short cartoony beams and everything. He told me when he asked where they got this stuff, and they said that they made it. I asked him who they were. He told me that the short gray-skinned men that worked there. Aliens? I said jokingly. Yes. He said seriously. Seriously, Frank, I said, prodding him. He looked like he wanted to continue, but the CIA men were over my shoulder by the food bin. They looked different today, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. We went back to eating. I asked my new friend Steve about the Men in Black and what he thought about them. I love that movie, he said. No, not that. The CIA men in black over there. I nodded in the direction. Oh, he said through a mouthful of sandwich. Those aren't CIA. Are you stupid? CIA don't look like that. And then he stopped mid-bite, his eyes glazed over. Yeah, no, those are CIA. He went back to quietly eating his sandwich, ignoring me and staying silent for the rest of the time. I got curious. I went home for the day, taking the shuttle into Vegas and then back to my house. I Google searched Men in Black occurrences, and now here I am surfing Reddit, going through Men in Black conspiracies. It's been 6 hours since I've typed the above paragraph. They're on to me. I'm going radio dark permanently after this, but I want to tell you all what happened before I leave so that my record is out there. If this is posted without a proper ending, know that they got me and that I had to press send as quickly as I could before destroying the phone. They followed me back to my house. Those things. The agents. I don't have curtains, so when I look up, partially blinded by the light screen of my phone, I swear that I see the outline of something outside. It's late and I knew that I saw a darkish shade of black that quickly darted out of the way. It made my skin crawl. I quickly went around to make sure everything was locked up tight. I got to the back door. The knob rattled for like 5 seconds before stopping. I heard them outside. They weren't talking English. I pressed my ear to the door to see if I could hear them better. Bang! Something hit the door which made me fall backwards. I scrambled to grab my car keys and a kitchen knife. I then switched off all of the lights. I had a plan. I unlocked the front door and I ran into my bedroom, which is closest to the front door, and I hid in the closet. They took the bait and they opened the back door slowly. I didn't hear anybody enter, but in the darkness outside my bedroom, I heard rustling, some clanging and the opening of drawers and doors. My bedroom door opened. I got ready. I could hear the gibberish. God, that gibberish will be ingrained in my head forever. The closet door began to open. I came on screaming and slicing like a madman on bath salts. I think I hit it, because I knocked something out of the way and it screamed. If I could call it a scream, as I blindly ran to my car and I started it up. It started up perfectly fine. Screw horror movie cliches. I looked out the back of the car and there they were, standing there in my way. One suit was cut a bit. A bit of dark liquid soaked the cut. I hit the gas and I ran right into them. Not a sound was made. No thump, no squeal. Nothing. I was on the road, safe for now. I'm never going back to Nevada again. I'm sitting at the roadside gas station getting gas now, sitting in my car. The clerk was nice, saw that I was having a rough night and gave me a free Kit Kat bar, my favorite candy ever. So here I am, on the run from freaking weirdos and eating a Kit Kat bar, typing this story to all of you, half expecting you to believe a word of it. These guys, they're really out there. These men in black, the CIA imposters. I wondered what they did to Bob, and what they're going to do with me if they catch me. If they catch me. I guess I was right about the impending doom feeling. Oops, the gas is done. I'll be right back. Okay, back in the... They're here. Hello. I am the poster of the fictional story of I work at Area 51. Everything that you've read is false. I'm just a young adult male on the internet looking for attention. I am sorry that I have lied to you all. The fact of the matter is that most stories about UFOs in Area 51 are constantly fabricated, just in hopes of garnering false hope of extraterrestrial life existing on this planet. What we should be focused on is world peace under one government system, working together as one planet, and ensuring the survival of our race for future discovery. That was just a missile test back a year ago, and it didn't have anything to do with a cover-up. I wouldn't even know, because I'm not a government official. I apologize for any emotional pain I might have caused, and I will be reflecting on all of my stupid life choices that brought me here. We are all in this together, so I invite you all to go to crowded areas with each other to reflect on yourselves. Please make constant eye contact with those around you to know that yes, you all share a true bond and we can move on from all this conspiracy nonsense. You won't hear from me ever again. You are definitely hearing from me again right now. I'm typing as fast as I possibly can. They're going to kill me for this, I promise you. All I know is that I was getting gas yesterday, and I woke up today inside what seemed to be a containment unit. I really don't know how else to describe it. It was a freaking 4-wall room with no door. Only a mirror, I'm not dumb. It was a one-way window. The room was bright when I opened my eyes, and they still hurt moments after. It was just a white room. I was strapped to an oddly comfortable bed. It wasn't laid horizontal, it was at an angle, so I was almost choking on the harness that kept my head in place. For a couple of hours, nothing was said to me. I was to lay there and drown in my own silence. All of this over a freaking down UFO. A freaking Reddit post of all things. Even though it was hidden amongst fiction, it was found. I would say that there is an alien invasion about to happen, but I have no proof, no evidence. Apparently the last time I posted was almost a year ago. My last post was sent right before I was apparently knocked unconscious. But that's impossible. That was yesterday for me. How could I have lost so much time? I didn't even have time to warn anyone. I failed you all. I couldn't even get any details about what they were planning. They are probably amongst you by now. Hidden. How do I know? One of them walked into the containment cell that I was being held captive in. Well, walked really isn't the correct term for it. He floated inside the room. There were no doors, I checked. How did he do that? The mirror just morphed around him. He just floated in and landed right in front of me. His limbs. God, his limbs were like deformed tree branches. Twisting and cracking at different tonal pitches that scratched at the inside of my mind. I felt like I was going crazy, and maybe I was. It was a wonder how he even stood there with those fragile looking legs. He looked me over with his surprisingly small glazed over eyes. Obviously, I was shitting myself. No control of my bladder either. I was petrified. And then he just stood there for what seemed like to be an eternity, without saying anything before shifting into a human. An honest to God human. He didn't have to say anything either, even in human form. He just stared at me with a side smirk that made me want to punch him, but I couldn't because he had become my mother. What he was doing was telling me that I had failed. Their kind had infiltrated our world. Have you ever forgotten the color of someone's eyes? Someone that you were close to? If you suddenly forget the color of a loved one's eyes, it means that they have gotten in. Don't look at their eyes. They'll take your past away, leave you thinking that last year was yesterday. He turned his head, still disguised as my mother. His eyes were like a hard gray, if I had to name a color close to it. a violent gray. I can't even begin to describe the otherworldly color that filled the whole of my fake mother's eyes. He pointed to a screen that appeared on the wall. Small videos played in little columns across the wide screen. They were all of me, and they had timestamps at the top corners. And they switched through days, and I slowly began to realize how they had took my time away from me. He looked to an empty table, and there was suddenly a computer on it. He wanted me to finish my story, but his way. Apparently all of those other times I didn't do it. I was mind wiped and kept another day. So finally, today, I said okay. I was already logged in. And what you read from earlier is the highly monitored post that I made. The second I post this, I'll be taken back. And they'll come and get me. There's probably one under my bed right now. I can't tell you what are the shadows of the outside trees, and what are their limbs. He then touched my shoulder and I fell asleep. I woke up in my bed an hour later, apparently. And here I am, about to write my life away again willingly. But in any case, today I chose disclosure. Today I chose to lose my life. Thank you all for reading. I'm sorry that I failed you. Be safe and don't forget the color of our eyes.